Today we are going to discuss the different force components which are going to induce in different gears, spur, helical and bevel gears, and how to decide the direction of these force components while analyzing, while designing and while designing gearboxes or gears. Okay. Why this force analysis is important? Because while deciding, the shaft diameters in gearbox, first of all, you have to find out the magnitude of forces. Then again, to construct vertical load diagram, horizontal load diagram, you have to decide the direction of the force components. And that's why understanding of these forces is very important in machine design engineering. That's why today we are going to discuss here force analysis of gears. Learning objective of the today's session: state the components of forces acting on spur gear tooth. And second objective, formulate the expression for components of forces acting on the tooth of helical and bevel gear. Now let us start from spur gear. Already you have studied in theory of machine different forces which are going to induce or which acts to transmit motion or a power in case of spur and helical gears. Just within 5 to 7 minutes, I will take a recap and revise this, force analysis of spur gear and helical gear. Now you know very well how the power is transmitted in case of spur gear and helical gear. You know very well the tangential component PT which plays important role. And because of this tangential component, it exerts a force on a gear, and because of that gear rotates. That means tangential component, which is a important component which is required to transmit motion or a torque or a power. Try to understand. Again here, you know very well the total force, or the it is denoted by the Pn. Always it acts along this pressure line, you know very well. And here the pressure line means, this is the pressure angle. How to define the pressure angle? The line which makes the angle between these, the tangent drawn at the pitch point and the pitch line, you know very well. All these are the terminology you studied in the theory of machine, even though in design also, you know very well. This is the ear gear, and this is the ear this side, this is the pinion which is shown ear gear. As the gear, look at this, pinion rotates in anti-clockwise direction, gear rotates in clockwise direction. That means first important thing, you have to you must know the direction of rotation of driver and driven gear. Driver means pinion, suppose, and driven gear means big gear in case of spur gear. That is one important thing. Again here, you know very well here, this in spur gear, it is this force which is having two components. Pn is having two components. Two components means in spur gear only one force is the radial and another one is the tangential. And I have already told you the PT is the required to transmit motion and power. But how to decide the direction and the direction of these components, that we will discuss. Look at it. This is the Pn makes an angle alpha. The same diagram here it is constructed. You can say it's a pre-body diagram. It's a pre-body diagram. Okay, this is the pinion which rotates in anti-clockwise direction and gear rotates in clockwise direction. Again, you know, as I have stated, this is the PT. Now again, when pinion rotates here, the PT is the tangential force generally which is required to transmit motion and power. The direction of this PT is always opposite to the direction of the driver or a pinion. Try to understand. Then second one, and if you are going to find out it here in for a driven member, you will find the direction of this PT is along with the direction of rotation of the gear, that you have to remember. Second thing, PR. This is the radial force, and always it acts towards the center of the. Suppose PR is suppose PR1 is the radial force which acts on the pinion, and always it acts towards the center of the pinion. Similarly, here PR2 it acts towards the center of the gear. Try to understand. Okay, and fundamentally, as I have told, the PN which acts along a pressure line, and here how much is the angle, or if we are going to find out with the PT, it makes an angle of alpha, and based on that, we can easily find out the relations to calculate the magnitude of PR and PT. And how to find out the PT, you know very well. Many times we have calculated PT is the tangential force. We can easily find out torque, and torque you will get from the power. So that's why I don't want to go in detail again these things. Look at the same figure I have constructed. This is the PR, this is the PT, this is the PN or the pitch point. Similarly, this side also PT. Only one thing that you have to remember, this resultant force Pn is having a two component in case of spur tangential and radial, that is PT and PR. How to find out the PR and PT? If you are going to refer this simple diagram, you can easily find out. Suppose this is the radial component. Again, this is, or you can consider any one of this. Suppose directly, if you would like to find out in terms of PT and if I am going to find out here, what is this is the PN, then this is the PN. Okay, this is PT PR. If I am going to find out, you will find from the geometry. Suppose this is the PR. You can consider any one of the the plane. This is PR, this is PT, angle is alpha, that is pressure angle. That means this is also, what is this? This is PR. And if I am going to find out tan alpha is equal to PR upon PT, simple. So that's why I have written here PR upon PT is equal to tan alpha. Therefore, PR is equal to, just simple, by using the geometry, you can trigonometry, you can find out tan alpha is equal to this. This means this is PR upon PT. You will get PR is equal to PT tan alpha. And similarly, if I would like to find out the PN, how to find out the PN? Again, here it is adjacent side is PT and is a adjacent sign. That's why relation of the cos plays important role. And that's why you will get this is PN, this is PT, and this angle is alpha. That's why you will get PN is equal to PT cos alpha. By using these relations, you will get the PR, you will get the PN. And in GATE examination, last time we have solved one example to find out the resultant force, which is act along the pressure line to transmit the motion or a torque. So that we have to find out Pn is equal to Pt upon cos alpha. You might have remembered that one example. And Pt you will get from the torque, and from the torque you have to calculate from the power. This is the simple one. Only what you have to remember in this case, just to have a recap, already you studied how to decide the direction of rotation. The radial components always act towards the center. So look at this. This is the pinion which rotates in anti-clockwise. Here it is clockwise. Then again, radial component which acts the here radial components which acts towards the center of the gear and again towards the center of the pinion also. So you can write here PR and here PR. Then second, pinion is the driving element and driven member. So what is happening? Suppose pinion is the driving, as I have stated. So what you have to do, PT for pinion opposite to the direction of rotation. Look, this is pinion, which is it rotates in anti-clockwise direction. The PT acts opposite to that at pitch point. Okay, and for a PT for the gear, it is in the same direction of rotation. It rotates in clockwise. The PT acts in clockwise. So only you have to remember these two things. And last two relations. Two means last two relations, or otherwise you can derive it. Why? Because you have to find out the PR and you have to find out the PN, and you will get PT from as usual simple formula. This is about the force analysis of a spur gear. Now let us discuss force analysis of helical gear. Again here, I will just elaborate and discuss about the components, how to find out their magnitude, and how to decide the direction of these components. I will discuss these things only. Okay, look at this. Again, I have referred V. Bhandari's book as usual. So you will find this is the helical gear. This is the axis, and you know very well the helix. In helical gear, teeth are cut with some inclination. It makes an angle, and generally this angle is known as the psi. Psi is the helix angle. Okay. Now here in this figure, you will find here. Now later on we will decide how to consider these, which type of gear, how to decide the forces. Now this is the gear. Teeth are cut with some inclination, and this is the pitch point, you can say, at the C. Now here in this helical gear, you will find it consists of, or the resultant force. The resultant force in this case, this P is the resultant force. Yeah, I have shown by green line here. Look at this. Here, this is the P. It is having three components. One is PT, another one is the PR and PA. If you are going to compare with the spur here PA is the axial and thrust component is coming into picture. For spur gear, only one two components, PT and PR. Again here, how to find out the PT? Same approach that you can use like a spur gear, from power to calculate first torque, then torque to PT tangential force. Okay, you will get PT. And once you know the PT is having relation with PR and PA, we can easily find out PR and PA. We will see how. The before that here, what you have to do? Look at this here. The what we have to do? We have to consider the plane here ABC. Now here ABC plane means, look at this. This is the plane. I don't want to go again detail. Professor Galandi many times discussed these things with you in class also. I have seen many times. Okay, this plane is ABC, and here the normal pressure angle which is shown in the plane, and another one here the helix angle is in the lower plane BCD. BCD means this B, here this is C, BCD, and this angle is helix angle, or teeth makes an angle with the axis of the gear. Okay, now we have to consider this plane of the resultant force, you know, the P, and second one is this the lower plane, that is BCD, for the analysis one. Now consider the first one, the plane ABC here, this ABC, and here it is shown separately. Look at this. This is the plane ABC. Here AB, because this is the tangential radial force, it is PT tangential, and axial I will discuss later on. In this case, because of that is cut with an inclination, the axial force which because of this teeth which are at some inclination, because of that this thrust component is going to induce in case of helical gear. But how to decide the direction of that thrust component, I will discuss after this slide. Okay, then this is this one plane, and this angle is pressure angle, and second one is the BCD. Here again it is constructed, and here angle is the helix angle psi. And for this DB, again this is PA, that's why this is PA, this is PT. Try to understand this, no need to make any confusion. Then from this triangle, if we are going to consider this plane ABC or ACB, so you will find here this PR means AB. So what you will get, PR is equal to P sine alpha n. Look at this, correct? Why? Because sine alpha n means PR upon hypotenuse, that is P. That's why PR is equal to P sine alpha n. Okay. And then what's about the BC? BC is equal to P cos alpha n from this figure B. Okay. Then similarly, by considering this lower plane BCD, we can easily or consider this the angle B, triangle BDC. Here the PA is equal to BC sine gamma. Look at this. Just use the geometry. PA means this. And here, suppose if I am going to find out sine gamma is equal to this BD upon this hypotenuse BC. So that's why, but this BD is equal to PA. Therefore, PA is equal to BC sine gamma. But what is BC? From the first one we have calculated, that is P into cos alpha n. So substitute BC is equal to P cos alpha n into the sine gamma. Similarly, find out PT here. PT means its adjacent side. So you can use the cos. Okay, so what you will get, cos gamma is equal to PT upon this hypotenuse BC. So you can use PT is equal to BC cos gamma. BC cos gamma. But again, BC is equal to what? P into cos alpha n from this figure. You can substitute this P cos alpha n into cos gamma. Okay, this is about PA and PT. Then what we have to do? Again, look at this. If I am going to say this is equation A, this is equation B, this is equation C, and this is equation D. From equation C and D means these two equations, you can find out PA upon PT. If I am going to find out PA upon PT, so you will find P cos alpha n, P cos alpha n gets cancelled. PA upon PT is equal to sine gamma upon cos gamma. So sine gamma upon cos gamma means tan gamma. So you will get PA upon PT is equal to tan gamma. So I have written rearranging the terms. Directly you can write down PA is equal to PT tan gamma. This equation you have to remember because gamma is the helix angle, PT is the tangential force. You can calculate from the torque from this equation. By using this equation, you can easily find out the PA, axial force or a thrust component. Okay. Similarly, consider A and D. Now let us see. Very simple one. A is this equation and D is this equation. And what you have to do? PR upon PT. So you can just take this ratio, PR upon PT. If you are going to solve it, you will get PR is equal to PT in bracket tan alpha n upon cos gamma. You can do it at home also. You will get this relation. Just you have to use this, the plane and triangle ABC and triangle BDC. By using this triangle, you can find out the sine and cosine of the components. And by using the same relations, you can easily find out PA and PR. That means by using these two equations, you will get radial component and axial component. This is about helical gear. Now, how to decide the direction of the components? Within 1 minute, I will tell you. Now, before deciding the direction of the components, so you first of all you have to decide because in this term, in spur gear, pinion rotating clockwise. The gear opposite direction PT acts, and for a gear in the same direction PT acts, and the PR radial force which acts towards the center of the pinion, and radial force which acts towards the center of the gear. This is for the spur gear, but in case of helical gear, there is another component, axial or a thrust component. That's why so we have to ask some question: which one is the driving and driven member? Whether pinion is driving or gear is driving, and generally in many applications you will find pinion is the driving member. Okay, then second, we have to check direction of rotation of pinion and direction of rotation of gear. Why this is important? Because whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise to decide the direction of the thrust component. And third one, hand of helix, whether right-handed or left-handed. And you know very well, many times we have discussed to have a proper meshing pinion, if having a right hand thread, another gear missing gear is having a left hand uh, helix. Okay, opposite helix. Then and then there is a gradual engagement. That's why noiseless operation. You know very well that things. So here, while deciding the direction of these force components, first of all you have to decide which one is the driving, which one is the driven. Then direction of rotation of pinion, clockwise, anti-clockwise, then hand of helix with the right hand or left hand. And once you know that, it's very simple to decide the direction. The as usual procedure, like a spur gear, for a tangential component, for a driving gear is opposite to the direction of rotation. It is applicable to spur also. Then the tangential component of driven gear is same in the direction of rotation. And same thing I have discussed in the case of spur gear also. The for spur and helical tangential component direction which are same, use same fundamental. Then radial, which is also same. Radial components acts towards the center of the pinion as well as the gear towards their center. If it's a pinion, towards the pinion center. If it's a gear, towards the gear center. Okay. But only what's about the thrust component that is important and how to decide it. That's why I have constructed one figure here. Okay. That is the thumb rule that we have to use. So here, first of all, what you have to do, look at this here. Inside these fingers, there is a gear. Okay, suppose there is a gear. And if I have used here which hand, if you are going to observe this figure, it's a right hand. And you know very well how to visualize the right hand. Now suppose this is the gear, and if slope of the teeth which goes towards the right side, it's a right hand. And if is how to decide the left hand, if the slope goes towards the left hand, you can say a left, and this is the right. So first of all, you have to decide the which type of the hand, left and right, and based on that you can use that hand. That's why first of all decide the right hand RH helix and for left hand helix. Now suppose in this case I have used is the right hand. That means this gear here inside this, the finger here. So you will find there is a gear, and you having right hand helix. So if right hand helix, you can use the right hand. If left hand helix, you can use a left hand. Try to understand. Then now in this case, again this gear is a suppose right hand, and it rotates in which direction? Look at this, in anti-clockwise direction. So what you have to do, you have to take the gear here, and you have to put your finger here. If it's a right, to use the right hand. So here it is shown in figure. Then how to put the figure here? Hand on the gear in the direction of rotation in this way. Here it is shown in the diagram. Okay, that means right hand, and in the direction of rotation you have kept your finger or a hand on the gear. And that time this thumb decides the or indicates the direction of thrust component of driving gear. Look at this in this case. Once again, I will repeat. The first of all decide direction of rotation. It's anti-clockwise. Then gear RH. You have to use right hand. You can keep on the gear, and your thumb it will indicate the direction of thrust component of driving gear. Driving gear means suppose if I have taken is a driving gear, it's for a driving gear, that is pinion. And if it's a left hand, what you have to do, you can use the left hand. If direction of rotation again in this way, and gear is having the left, so you will get the axial thrust PA towards this direction. You can imagine and do this. So what you have to do, the first of all decide right hand and left hand, and accordingly use that left and right hand. And the thumb, you have to keep that the hand on the gear in the direction of rotation, and the thumb will indicate the direction of thrust component. Try to understand. Okay. And once you have decided for the pinion, the direction of thrust component of the driven gear is opposite to that driving gear. No need to once again find out for that, because we are doing for the pinion, you will get automatically opposite to that the pinion thrust component direction of or the gear thrust component. Okay. This is about the helical gear and how to decide the direction of the components. Now, force analysis of a bevel gear. Again, here in this case, one important point that you have to take into account. So you know very well for a bevel gear here, again here, look at this. This bevel gear is having a pastrum of a cone, and here towards this side, here it's like a cone, here it is a cut, and on the circumference of this pastrum of a cone, teeth are cut. Now here, one important thing, don't make any confusion. Again, I am telling, because look at this. In this case, the pitch point, which is taken on the pitch line. Yesterday, while discussing the design based on the beam strength and the wear strength, I have told you, you have to always consider the large end to find out the dimensions of the gears. But here in force analysis, the pitch point and where this force, resultant force which is transmitted by the bevel gear tooth, which is considered at the mid point, try to understand. Only for this force analysis, but no need to take into consideration these fundamentals while calculating the beam strength and the wear strength. Try to understand. The here, the resultant force which is considered at the midpoint, and based on that again here the bevel gear, it is having the again three components, PT, PR and PXL. PXL means axial or thrust component. Again here, uh, we have to consider the plane. You know very well here, this is the axial force. Again, after this analysis I will discuss how to decide the direction of these forces. Okay, this is the radial component and this is the tangential. Why this is the tangential? If you are an observer from this side, you will find this gear is rotate in this direction, means anti-clockwise. The PT, here PT acts opposite to that. That means same fundamental of spur gear is used. Then PR radial force which acts always towards the center, and then this is the axial force. But we will decide how to decide this direction. But if we are going to compare with the helical and other gear, another one important PS, another component is there. Why PS is important? It's a separating force, because you know very well in bevel gear, which is uh, hanging type of gear or like a cantilever, you know, always you will find, even though suppose it rotates, it transmits the power, but there may be possibility of separating force which acts at the, you know, the pitch line, or you can say the tooth line. Okay, that's why separating force plays important role in case of bevel gear compared with the other one. Then this is the apex of a cone if I have already told you. Now in this case, what we have to do? Again, this resultant force P. Resultant force P means here it is shown here. Look at this. He is having the, what it is denoted by this dash 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 dash. Look at this. This is the P component. Okay, having three PT, PR and PA again. Okay. Now again to make the analysis, we have to consider these planes. Consider a plane A, B, C, D. Now A, B, C, and look at this D plane. And here it is drawn separately. And I have taken from Vivandari's book, the same figure. Okay. Then similarly, what we have to do? We have to consider the plane again. This plane, frontal plane from this side. Now here in 3D, it's very difficult to show all the forces for a bevel gear. Look at this plane we have to consider. That is, you can say FDE A or AEDF. Here it is shown here. And by considering these two planes, we can easily find out the magnitude of the forces which are uh, gets induced in case of bevel gear. Now consider the first one, the plane ABCD. Okay, this is ABCD, and now consider here the triangle BCD. Now here again, this makes an angle alpha. Here it is the pressure angle. Okay, and considering this, you can easily find out how much is the tan alpha. Tan alpha means BC upon this CD. Here it is written tan alpha is equal to BC upon CD. But what is BC? It is separating force. Here it is shown. It's, if you are going to consider this plane, here you will find this is the PS separating force. So this PS, or you can see here it's a PS separating force PS. The PS upon PT, or you can arrange the term, you will get PS is equal to PT tan alpha. Okay, then very interesting and important one thing I am going to discuss with you. Look at this PS, if you will find, is perpendicular to this OD, is perpendicular to OD, and OD is the pitch line. OD is the pitch line. Similarly, if you are going to find out this FD, is also perpendicular to this OX, is OX. So why I am discussing these things? Because to make the analysis simple one, this PS which is perpendicular to this DO. Okay, this is one important thing, and this FD which is perpendicular to OX. And here you know very well, if this OD makes an angle of gamma, that is pitch angle, you know very well gamma makes with this OX, so this PH should makes an angle with this FD, that is also gamma, or you can say this AD and FD. Okay, this angle is also gamma here. And that's why I have written PS is perpendicular to pitch line OD. Similarly, FD is perpendicular. And you know very well in the 7th or 8th standards, uh, you have decided how to find out the opposite angle. Then this is gamma. This is also the gamma one. Okay, that means a different test that you have to adopt while finding out the angles. This is the gamma in between AD and EFD. And once you know this, what you have to do, we have to decide the, or we have to consider the plane, this DEAF, and angle, here it is written ADF, ADF. Again, again, if you are going to consider, this is the PR, this is the PS, this is the PA, this plane we have considered. And here it is same figure which is constructed here, and from this you will find here The PR is equal to P cos gamma. PR is equal to P cos gamma, PS cos gamma, because we have considered this triangle. Okay. Then PR. Now here what is PS is the separating force, but we have calculated. This PS is nothing but a PT tan alpha. You can substitute this value here. So you will get here, what you will get? PR is equal to PT tan alpha into cos gamma. Similarly, from this figure, you can find out PA is equal to. So what is you will get? This is the PA. So you can see it's a PA. And if you are going to find out the frontal side and hypotenuse PS, you will get PA is equal to PS sin gamma. Again, PS is equal to what? This is PT tan alpha. So you can substitute here. So you will get PA is equal to PT tan alpha into sin. That means PR is equal to PT tan alpha into cos gamma. PA is equal to PT tan alpha into sin gamma. By using these two relations, you can easily find out radial component and axial component in case of bevel gears. But how to find out the tangential component? Now remember one important thing here. So I have not written here the capital or just R. Whether to consider is the R means if we are going to take is the pitch radius, you know very well. From this, we are not considering is at the large end. We are considering at the middle edge. That's why RM is written. That means radius at the midpoint. Here, while calculating the tangential force here in bevel gear, PT is equal to MT upon RM is taken, and only you have to consider in force analysis case. Don't consider now. Suppose if somebody is going to ask you find out the P effective load by using velocity vector. What is P effective? CS upon CV into PT. That means you have to find out PT. But how to find out the PT? Again, PT is equal to, you can find out to MT upon D. But this D should be at large end while calculating the beam strength and the wear strength. And yesterday we have discussed, always we have to consider the large end while calculating the beam strength and the wear strength. Try to understand. So that time don't use this formula to calculate the PT. Don't make any confusion. This formula just you have to use in the bevel gear force analysis. Try to understand. Then by using this PT is equal to MT. MT is the torque. You have to find out R. Again here, but how to find out the RM, that is important. That's why this is the bevel gear. Look at this. This is the center. Again, this is the pitch angle gamma. And you know, if is for a pinion, the half total is the DP at the outer end. Look at this large end. This is DP. Half you will get DP by 2. But at the we have considered the tooth forces at the middle. That's why from this up to this axis it's a RM. Okay, it's RM. So by considering the geometry simply this one, and this, and from this point to this, the RM is equal to what? If I am going to find out this is the RM from this distance to this axis RM. How to find out RM? You will find this is AC and this point is B. This is AB bar. And again, how to find out the AC? That is important. How to find out this? The AC bar is equal to, AC means from this to up to this at the large end. This is dP by 2. So you can substitute AC bar is equal to dP by 2. So substitute this value here. Then again, if you are going to consider the geometry at this portion here, A, B, this portion. So what you can easily write down here, AB upon this B by 2. Small b by 2 is the hypotenuse here. Look at this triangle. This AB and this is equal to sin gamma. That means sin gamma is equal to this angle is gamma, this angle is becomes gamma. Sin gamma is equal to AB upon B by 2. The AB bar is equal to B by 2 this, and you can substitute this value of here AC is equal to this. After substituting, what you will get? RM is equal to dP by 2 minus B sin gamma by 2, this relation. And by using this value of RM, you can easily find out the PT. Try to understand. Then again, how to decide the direction of the forces? Before discussing it, you should remember one thing, because in bevel gear is having, you know, the frustum of a cone and the forces which acts at the midpoint to get the total resultant force here. So how to construct it in the plane, and it's very difficult to decide the how to show the direction of the forces. Again, what you have to do, look at this simply. I will try to elaborate that thing. Look at this. This is the pinion. If I am going to say pinion, it rotates in this direction. In this direction, the PT should act opposite to that for the pinion as per spur, helical, and same fundamental we are going to decide here. But here look at this. At this point, PTX I have shown in this way, but it's very difficult to show in a plane the direction of the PT. That's why here you can show the points, and always remember, even though it's a pinion and direction of rotation in this way, the PTX opposite to that, even though in a this plane X and Y we are showing in this direction. Then PR is the always radial force which acts towards the center. Then this is the separating force that we have shown already, and this is the axial force, and this makes an angle. But other forces are simple one. Then very important one, what you have to do, or even though I would like to show in this figure also, try to understand. This is the pinion driving. Again, it rotates in this direction. The PT should act opposite to that. But how to show it? I don't show in this way. Opposite, that means downward direction. Because it acts at this point. If I am going to show from this direction, it becomes a, the point when you are observing from my side in frontal plane. That's why here this dot is shown, and this indicates even though it acts in opposite direction, an arrow is shown in this direction, it's a PT. This is separating force PS, and this is also separating force. And again, the E1, look at this in driven gear. Again, the arrow is shown in this, but don't make confusion. It's not in the direction as I have told you. For a spur and helical gear, PT which acts along the direction of rotation. That's why here it's okay. In this figure, you can observe in the direction, but in pinion, you can't observe any one of the figure. Maybe in pinion or a gear, you can observe the proper direction in a 2D plane. Try to understand this one thing while indicating it on a paper. Then this PT, even though it's opposite, but it's opposite to the direction of rotation. This is PR, this is PA. Now look at this here. What is this? This is the, what is this? Here it is shown. So what we have to do, a very interesting and important thing here, the axial force or a thrust component of a pinion, I have written here, look at this. Thrust component of a pinion is equal and opposite to the radial component of the gear. Radial component of the gear. Radial component of the gear. That means this PA is the thrust component of the pinion, but it should be equal and opposite to the radial component of the gear, that is PA. Try to understand. Then second one, thrust component of the gear is equal and opposite to the, and vice versa. That means PA of the pinion is equal to PR of the hot gear, but in opposite direction. This is for pinion. Similarly, thrust component PA of the gear is equal and opposite direction to the PR of the pinion. Try to understand. And once that means in this case, you can easily find out PA and PR. You will get the thrust component is equal while deciding the direction in case of the BL gear. But what's about the radial and tangential components? The same fundamental of spur gear and helical gear you can use for PT and PR. PT and PR means if pinion rotates in clockwise direction, so tangential force is at opposite to this PT in pinion. In case of bevel spur helical, applicable to all these 3 gears. Then, and direction of rotation of the spur helical for a gear, I am talking about the gear, the PT, which is in the same direction. Similarly for bevel gear also. And what's about the radial load? Same fundamental of spur and helical, which acts towards the center of the pinion, PRP, and PRG, which acts towards the center of the gear. Okay, that means for PT and PR, you can use the same logic like spur and helical, but only for the thrust component, you have to take into account this. Thrust component pinion is equal and opposite to the radial of the gear, and radial of the thrust of the gear is equal and opposite to the radial component of the pinion. Try to understand. This is about the force analysis. Why this force analysis is important? Because while designing the gearbox, you have to find out the component of these forces. Once you know the forces, you can easily find out the shaft diameters or the input shaft, output shaft, intermediate shaft while designing the gear. That's why this topic is a very important one. Thank you. This is about the force analysis of gears per helical and bevel gear. I have referred V. Bhandari's book, Design of Forcing Element. Thank you. If you have any query, you please WhatsApp me or mail me. Okay, this is about the this session, but we have a time of 10 minutes. Within 5 to 10 minutes, we will discuss one problem here. Okay, I will open another PPT. We will get a design problem. Okay. Okay, let us see. So one simple problem. If you have a notebook, you can note down the problem. I am going to read. Learning objective of this session: discuss and design the bevel gear based on beam strength and wear strength. I am going to read the problem. If you have a notebook, you can write down. It's a simple one because we have solved one problem on spur, two problem on spur gear design, one on helical gear design. So that's why same logic we are going to use. That's why we'll finish within 5 minutes. I am going to read the problem statement. It's a solved problem from V. Bhandari's book. You can read after the session also. Bevel gear 20-degree pressure angle, then consist of 20 with pinion missing with 30 teeth. That means ZP given and ZG given, and pressure angle alpha is equal to 20 degree. Read problem statement carry. Module is equal to 4 mm, face width is given, M is equal to 4 and B is equal to 20 face width. The material over pinion and gear is steel 50 C at SUT is given. That means pinion and gear made up of same material. SUT is given. So why SUT is important? It will help you to calculate SUT by 3. So you will get sigma B. Then here, very important one. Yesterday we have discussed beam strength. Gear teeth are lapped and ground class 3. Why this lapped, ground and class 3? It will help to take the value of error based on this class 3. That's why it's very important one. Then surface hardness is given 400 BHN. Pinion rotation NP is given 500. Power is given 2.5 kilowatt. And the starting torque of the motor is 150% times the rated torque. Determine FOS against pitting and bending failure. Okay, we will see how to calculate it. First of all, read problem statement carefully, and then you can write the given data. How to write down the given data? So you know very well, power is given 2.5 kilowatt, NP 500, number of teeth on pinion, number of teeth on gear, module 4, face width 20, SUT. For both the gears, pinion and I have written here, pinion for material for pinion and gear is steel. That means same material. Then gear teeth are lapped and ground class 3. Then starting torque is 150% of the rated torque. We have to find out the maximum torque. BHN is given 400. And what we have to do? You have to determine factor of safety against bending failure and pitting failure. Let us see how to do this calculation. Okay. Okay, 1 minute. First of all, because we have to find out the FOS again beam strength and wear strength, to calculate beam strength and wear strength. So start with beam strength. Again here beam strength, you know very well, pinion and gears are made up of same material. If same material, which one is weaker? Pinion is weaker. The design should be based on pinion. And first of all, again here, what is the expression to find out the SB? Yesterday we have seen this expression. Once again, I would like to show to you. SB for bevel gear is equal to MB sigma B into Y in bracket 1 minus B upon E0. M is the module is given, B face width is given, sigma B is equal to SUT by 3 is given. Y, Lewis form factor depends on virtual number of teeth. B face width, A is the cone distance. That means Y and cone distance that we have to calculate. It's not given in the statement. That's why first of all find out Lewis form factor. Let us start. To find out the Lewis form factor, again it is based on virtual number of teeth. So we have, and pinion is weaker, so we have to find out ZP dash, virtual number of teeth on bevel pinion. And you know, yesterday we have written this relation. ZP dash is equal to ZP upon cos gamma. Gamma is the pitch angle. Again, pitch angle is not given, that we have to find out. And you know very well, pitch angle tan gamma is equal to ZP by ZG. Number of teeth on pinion, number of teeth on gear. So you can find out gamma is equal to. So you will get gamma is equal to 33.69 degree. Once you know the gamma, you can substitute here. ZP given how much? 20. You will get ZP dash. And similarly, in this case, pinion is weaker. Just find out ZP dash. Suppose if gear is weaker, suppose in this case gear is not weaker, pinion, but so you have to go for this relation. G dash is equal to Zg upon cos gamma, Zg upon, we have derived this relation, and gamma you have to calculate from this. Zg means number of teeth. You will get virtual number of teeth on the gear. You can do this calculation. And again, let us calculate the number of virtual number of teeth on pinion. Zp by cos gamma, 20 upon gamma means pitch angle, you will get 24. And if again refer the chart here, instead of using the formula here, we are going to referring the chart. Lewis form factor. Look at this. This number of teeth, virtual number of teeth on pinion, 24.04. But it is not the, it is in between 24 and 4. The here your value of Lewis form factor for the virtual number of teeth lies in between these two values. That's why what you have to do, you have to use the interpolation. By using this interpolation method, you will get, last time also we have used one interpolation. So we can easily find out Lewis form factor for this virtual number of teeth 24.0, that is 0.33712. Okay. Now only one point is remaining to find out the SB, that is cone distance. As discussed earlier, SB sigma b is equal to S50 by 3, it's given, you can calculate. Then cone distance, how to calculate the cone distance? A0. Yesterday also during learning code test I have given some small examples on this. Cone distance is equal to 100 dp by 2 bracket square plus dg by 2 bracket square. The dp is equal to m into zp 80, m into zg 120. You can substitute, you will get A0, that is 72.11. Okay. Then beam strength, SB is equal to MB sigma By in bracket 1 minus B by A0. The M is given module 4, B is given 20, sigma B is 50 by 3, that is 250. Y Lewis form factor that we have taken by using interpolation. Then B again it's given 20, and A0 that is we have calculated by 72.11. You can substitute, you will get the beam strength. This is about the beam strength. Okay. Once you know the beam strength, next one, find out the wear strength, because we have to find out the FOS against beam strength and wear strength. What is the relation for SW? Again, it is 0.75 B into Q into dP into K upon cos gamma. B is given. dP, we know very well already, we know that. K, we have to find out. Q, that we have to find out. Let us calculate the form factor. Q is a ratio factor. 2 Zg upon Zg plus Zp into tan gamma. Yesterday we have derived this relation. Zg means number of teeth on gear, number of teeth on pinion. Gamma is the pitch angle. You can substitute, you will get Q is equal to. Then K, metal constant, 0.16 Bhm by 100 square, because both pinion and gear made up of steel. You can substitute, Bhn is given 400, you will get this value. Once you know this value, you can substitute. 0.75 B is given, Q calculated, dP already calculated while calculating SB, K calculated. You can substitute all the value, you will get CSW. Now in this case, after calculating SW and SB, we have to find out pitting FOS against pitting and bending failure. Now then, we have to find out this, we have to calculate the P effective. So for that purpose, power is given, speed of the pinion is given, so we can easily find out the torque transmitted. From the torque we can calculate the PT. Okay, so first of all from power, and by using NP pinion speed, find out MT. Then from MT you can find out the PT, and PT is equal to LA. Why it is required? Because while calculating, because in this case it is asked to find out dynamic load equation by using Buckingham's equation. Here it is mentioned, where it is mentioned class 3. And why class 3? How to take the value of E? That's why it's a very important one. You have to consider dynamic load into account by using Buckingham's equation. using Buckingham's equation. It is not mentioned to use the velocity factor to account for the dynamic load. Then next one is the how to take into account the Buckingham's equation to find out the PD. 21 V is AB plus PT. You know very well this. V is the pitch line velocity pi dp np upon 60. You will get this. Then what is C? Deformation factor for the steel. You know Ariel 11,400. If it's not given, it is made up of steel directly. You can take this value. E value we have to take from the chart for a class 3 gear teeth. I will show that. B is the phase width, PT you have calculated, and you have to calculate the PD. But class 3 gear teeth with model 4 mm, the value of error is 0.0125. How to take this value? Here I have, yesterday I have discussed also the same thing. Once again, look at this for class 3. 3 gears, yesterday we have discussed class 1, class 2, class 3. For class 3, this table you have to refer. The model is given up to 4 model. The value is 0.012. This value we have taken here while calculating the PD. Here this value we have taken this, and after substituting C, E, B, PT, you will get PD. Now how much is the PD? 1653.25 Newton. Okay, once you have this value, at the last for a second final stages of gear design, how to calculate the P effective? The P effective is equal to CS PT plus PD. PT is known, CS is known, then PD is known. You can put, you will get this value. Then again, what you have to do to avoid the failure against the bending, SB should be greater than P effective. SB is equal to P effective into FOS. Put SB, P effective, this calculated, and FOS that you have to find out, and it's equal to 1.41. Similarly, to find out the FOS against pitting failure, SW should be greater than P effective. SW is equal to P effective into FOS, so you will get 1.41 or 48. Here 1.48 and here 1.41. In this way, you can solve the problem. Okay. In this way, you have to solve the problem. Okay, it's a solved problem from your Vandari's book. You can refer this book also after the session also. Okay, thank you. I am always referring this book.